welcome. If this is your first time tuning in, you might be wondering who the heck this guy is that's talking. Yes, I did shave off my facial hair that I've had for 5 years. And yes, I do feel a little bit like a naked mole rat, but there was reasons. And anyways, just a different look for a different day. But anyways, I was feeling a bit nostalgic. And so I wanted to show you a couple items that I have. They're military historical pieces. And so the first one, a few years ago, when we were moving, we rented a storage unit and we were filling it up with boxes. And in the corner by the sliding door, somebody had stashed a machete. And my son happened to find it at the time. So this is technically his. I told him he could have it when he got older. And he is old enough to have it now. But anyways, it was this nice World War II era machete. You can see on the blade there, it says US 1943 SWI. So it's kind of a cool little machete that he found in the corner, World War II. Pretty sweet. I had a black plastic handle at the time, which was broken. It was cracked. And so one of my friends who makes knives, I asked him to put a new wooden handle on there, which he did, and it looks great. And pinned it on and really made it a nice looking historical piece. It did have a canvas sheath, but the inside of it had been cut and some of the material had been pushed down into the bottom, so it did not fit in the sheath all the way. So I did, at the military surplus store, I picked up a little sheath there. It's not period correct, but it does have a little sharpener on there. So as you pull it out, you can, sharpen the blade as you remove it from the sheath. And it does protect it a little bit better. So anyways, that's one piece of military history. Both my grandfathers served in military around the World War II time. I did have one on my dad's side, Denver, that served overseas in Europe during World War II. And then my other grandfather on my mother's side, he also was enlisted in the Army. I'm not sure that he ever served overseas. He died relatively young, 44 years old, from blood clots. And so I never really got to meet him. But I do have a pack that belonged to him. I believe it's just a military day pack, and I think he enlisted after World War II, but I could be wrong. When I was looking it up, it looked like his enlistment date was around 1956, so this is probably after World War II. But it's a little day pack, and in my younger, wild college days when I was kind of into skateboard culture and everything, I had put some patches on it, but it is a military backpack, period appropriate, and it's a cool pack. I used to wear it around. Didn't hold a lot of college textbooks, but it was a statement piece, I guess. So you can remove these packs or these straps, and it does have a little rain fly inside that, if I remember correctly, that you can pull out and put over the top of the bag to help keep it wet, keep it dry, keep it safe from the moisture. But that belonged to my grandpa on my mom's side. There is a name or a partial name on the top, but it's been kind of faded out. Somebody wrote with marker. And I just thought that was always kind of a cool pack. Then my other grandpa, like I said, he was actually served overseas, and I don't have anything of his per se, but I do have, recently in the last year, my grandmother, his wife, passed away. And so in cleaning out her house, I did get this hat that says, remembering World War II veterans, Burley, Idaho. So I don't think he ever wore this hat a lot. I think it was given to him at some event or that the local veterans had. But anyways, just another reminder of his service. And I did get this in his garage. I found in with all the old tools, I found a rusty old hunting knife, and I don't know much about it. It at the time, it was in pretty bad shape. The handle was all loose, and the blade had gotten all rusted and pitted because it had sat in the garage for a long time. He's been gone a number of years. He passed away when I was 16, so I don't know too much about this knife. If any of you know anything about it, I would appreciate knowing that. It's got looks like an elk or a deer on the sheath, and it has kind of an interesting clip point on it with kind of a big belly there. There is some, I tried to make it out, but it's too well worn. There is some writing on the handle, and it does say something about Germany, so I assume that's where it was made. But it was in pretty bad shape, and I cleaned up the blade, re-epoxied the handle, cleaned up the handle, got some of the gunk off. And so it is a functional, usable knife, and it must be made out of, you know, a high carbon steel because it was rusted and pitted a little bit. Still some of the pitting, the patina that's on there. I didn't want to go deep enough to get that out. It's a fairly decent blade, but yeah, if any of you guys know anything about this type of knife, where it may have came from, yeah, share that with me. I'd love to know. Again, it's not real fancy as far as the sheath goes or any of that kind of stuff, so I don't think it's nearly that old. I'm guessing it's maybe from the 60s or 70s. But anyways, that would be awesome to know. And that's my video for today. Just wanted to show off a couple of those things. My grandpas were both more men than I'll ever be, you know, and I appreciate them. Lots of my family have served in the military. My dad was in the National Guard. I had uncles, brother-in-laws, cousins, so really supportive of those military gentlemen. So it's that time again, time for joke of the day. You know, I haven't posted lately. We had family in town, and then I ended up contracting COVID. So I was down and out quarantining for a few days. I didn't really get all that sick. It felt like I had a 24-hour flu bug, and then after that, I felt pretty good. But anyways, had to do some quarantining, and so I haven't been out and doing much. But anyways, wanted to tell a joke, and I did find out though, if you wear glasses, which I don't, and you have had COVID, you may be entitled to condensation. Anyways, the joke I really wanted to tell was this guy. He was out duck hunting, and first time, so he was, you know, shot a duck, and he was super excited. But that duck fell out of the sky, bounced off a barn, and landed in this private property, this farmyard. And so, being a good hunter, he went over to ask permission. He says, "Hey, sir," knocked on the door. One of my ducks fell out in your yard, and I'd like to go collect it." And the farmer says, "Oh," he says, "it's on my property. It's my duck." And the guy says, "Well, you know, actually, it was flying over that pond. I shot it. You know, I'd really like to take it. This is my first duck." And the guy says, "Well, I'm sorry." He says, "You know, my property, my duck. But he says, I tell you what, we have a way we settle disputes out here. And so if you're keen to that, we can do it." And the guy says, "Well, yeah, tell me about it." And so the guy says, "Well, we do this thing where we take turns kicking each other in the crotch, and whoever gives up first loses, and whoever doesn't gets to keep the duck." And the guy says, "Well, that's the strangest thing I've ever heard of, but," he says, "I really want this duck. So, okay." And the farmer says, "All right." He says, "I'll go first." And he walks up there with his cowboy boots, pointy tip. And the hunter stood there, and the farmer hauled back and kicked him right between the crotch. The guy fell down, was rolled around on the ground in pain and agony, moaning, and finally he gets up. And he's like, "All right." You know, he's excited to get some revenge. He's like, "My turn now." And the farmer says, "Nah, you can have the duck."